Good day, everyone. Glad you guys are here. We're going to get started on the sixth sense, and what does that mean? Do a little quick intro. Majority of you know who we are. I am Mastermind Institute of the Mind, and we are doing this on purpose, and this to help people grow, to help people achieve their goals in life. We do this through business. We do this through teaching. Many years ago, I started off with my first company, but the reason I started off with that first company is because I started off with the vision. And the vision that I had came about because I was looking for it. And when I say that, I was looking on purpose. And for many years, I was looking for my purpose on purpose. And through you would say through life and experiencing life, I experienced different levels of awareness of myself and my abilities. And in building my abilities and working on me, studying and researching and looking for what majority of the scientists are always looking for is consciousness. Is what does it mean? Life, what is the meaning to life? And because I was looking for that, I found it in these books, and I found it in researching, and I found it in studying. And the more I was researching, and the more I learned, and again, the only way I learned was by doing. So the more I did, the more I understood. But what I was understanding was more about myself and how I operate. Not only how I operate, but how others operate. So through the chain of events of looking for my purpose on purpose, the sequence of events transpired into developing myself, changing my life, building companies, then trying to transmit what I was doing to others. And in doing that, I wanted to get really good at it, and I wanted to help people. And I knew that there was an automatic part of our behavior that wants to stay where we're at. And I also knew that there's an essential part of our behavior that always wants more, wants to become more. And I saw it in myself. I experienced it for myself. And I knew that it was something that everyone has to do, and they do it only on their own. And it's not something that is just given. You have to earn it. And what I mean by earn it, you have to go through the process. And that process that I'm talking about is the process of unlearning and relearning. The process of, I say, enlightenment, the process of becoming more aware of yourself. And if the individual's not ready and willing to embark on this journey, they stay more or less where they're at. And when I looked at people, I was really astonished that majority of the people didn't want to grow. And to the root of it, it wasn't that they didn't want to grow. They didn't believe that they could grow. And so through this understanding of the psychology behind belief and behavior, I was determined to find a better way, and I still am. I'll never say I got it. I always say I'm getting better at it. And because this is my life cause, I am working at perfecting myself and my abilities to be able to help someone else transform their life if that's their desire. So my desire is to improve this and to get better at it and shorten the task at hand, and that's the overcoming of ourselves. Shorten the learning curve, how to advance quicker, how to develop quicker, how to make this understanding more adaptable. And I'm doing this in a process. I went and studied with the Procter & Gallagher Institute on purpose because I saw the way Bob was teaching. And it took me years of research and study to get where I was at. I knew when I was introduced to Bob, I saw that he was years in the study. And he was the oldest. He's passed away already over a year ago. And he did a lot of work on himself. But also he was doing a lot of work with a lot of people as he's learning and he's advancing. So I went immediately to go work with the Procter & Gallagher Institute so that I can learn from him. I wanted to be able to bring this back and learn how to teach it, how to communicate it, and then how to develop people. I not only saw the value in it for me, but I saw the value in it for my children. I seen the value in it for their future. I seen it in the value of the company, my partner, everyone around me. I said, my God, we just don't know. And when you don't know that you don't know, life passes by. So I knew that I wanted to, this was part of the vision that I had when I had the vision of building the first company. But the vision I had was not of building one company. The vision I had was building many companies. The vision I had was also helping people through business. Now, the vision I had, again, I'm going to go back to, it was given to me on purpose because I was looking for my purpose. I knew at the moment that I received the vision that I had of a future, and I'll explain that here in a minute. I knew the vision I had of the future was part of my purpose. But I also knew that it was not only part of my future, it was going to be the part of many people's future. And that it wasn't going to just be my work. I knew that there would be others, and that there was going to be others that would be involved, because the image that I had was global. The image that I had was a group of men, businessmen, businesswomen all around the world doing things on purpose to help advance their people. People that would be coming into the future, people that were looking for higher consciousness or spirituality, eventually would come to the understanding that spirituality isn't everything, not just one thing and not the other. It's in school, it's in the home, it's in the house, it's in the farm, it's in the forest, it's everywhere. Why is spirit in everything and a part of everyone? Because we're directly connected to it. And the vision I had was the responsibility of living and leaving a place for consciousness when it's ready to grow. And I go back in my behavior, as I would say, as a student of life, and I learned that I had to learn more about me. And that I was the one that positioned myself in all the places that I was at unconsciously, because I was unaware of, one, my true potential, and I was more aware of my beliefs than anything else. And we're going to go through that. Through this process, we built companies, and we're on their way to helping people through business. In business, I knew that business was not just about making money. It wasn't just about earning money. It wasn't just about the results. It wasn't about managing people either. It was about developing people. So through this process, we brought the Institute of the Mind, and through that process, I also found a partner, business partner. We came together to build businesses and companies on purpose, and he had the same desire that I had, and he's an entrepreneur at heart, and he enjoys building things. He enjoys to create, and I saw that he would be part of that vision. He saw that he would be part of that vision. So we're working together, and I know that through this process that we will find other men that will want to be part of the vision. I believe when we really begin to understand this, it's no longer just about building companies or just about money. It's about what we impact people. It's how we help people. At the end of the day, it's how can we continually to be able to help people and progress people's lives even when we're gone. That's the purpose. So we're going to get started on the sixth sense. This again goes back to all the study, all the research, all the intuition of learning. Let me turn this on. Can you turn that on? Okay. What happened? Okay. So through this process, the intuition was a guide. I would say it's been a guide on my shoulders from the beginning. I would say I was very blessed to have this intuition more enhanced in me. But we all have it. Each and every one of us have it. This intuition always caused me, as from a child, to question everything and believe nothing. To question everything and believe nothing. And because I had that type of mindset, I questioned everything and believed nothing. So I would go research everything I was being told, because there were certain things that just didn't vibrate with me. I didn't feel it was accurate, or there was something between the lines that I didn't understand. And as well as this sixth sense, this intuition was always guiding me. As a young man, I looked around. You got it going? Okay. As a young man, I looked around at people, and I did what we all do. I did what me, he, she, them, they, her, him, grandpa, grandma, everyone has done. The only thing that we can do when we arrive in this planet is do what? Learn from the people that are around us. We learn from how they do things. We adapt. But what do we adapt to? We adapt to their way of doing things. We do the only thing that we can do. We learn to what? Speak like them. And if we're learning to speak like them, that means we're learning to think like them. You cannot have speech without thought, right? So the speech is being correlated by the things going around, producing a harmonic balance between mind and matter, mind and hand, mind and the brain. So this brain is absorbing all the ideas to create a formula in speech. And as it's doing that, it's creating this thing that we call the mind. What it's doing is building this thing that we call the mind. The mind is a movement, but it cannot have movement unless it has what? Intellect. If the mind doesn't have intellect, how could it communicate? So it does, and we do the only thing that we can do. We download everything around us so that we may what? Reason with each other. Wow. Wow. I knew that by me coming back, I would have to take on the ideas of the time, the place, the geography, of everything that was there, so that I may be able to communicate and reason with everyone. So then the adaptation is what? Sensory. Senses. So here we have the mind that is coming to a place and a time and a geography, and it can do the only thing it can do. It adapts to what? All the information and surroundings, so that it may be able to communicate with its surroundings. Can you imagine if you would have been born 100 years ago, today, in the very place that you stand? There may be nothing but cotton fields in this very place. If that. Right? And if you came in 100 years ago, you would come into whatever economical production there is, right where you stand. And you would immediately have to adapt to what's going on, and you would have to take on all of their knowledge to be able to reason and then intellectually operate with your surroundings. Would you agree? And then what would you take on? Do you have a mic?
You would form around the information you received.
To do what? To take on what?
A new identity.
Yes, but you're going to do all of that to take on what? What are you taking on? What does a child take on when he arrives? But what is he taking on? Yes, he's going to take visual, sensory. Somebody speaking?
Yes, me. Programming.
Programming, but to take on what? What do they use? What do they need? Speech. Why do we need speech?
To communicate.
To live, to take on life. So you're going to take whatever they've got to take on life. Why? Because by nature, we want to what? Survive. So we want to take on life to survive. So we take on and we gather all the information we can so that we may what? Operate in a physical world, to go into a physical world. 100 years ago, there's still economics, right? It already started. So we already had money. Now I'm going to go back to all the ideas we took them on purpose because we were supposed to. It's the only thing that we could do. We want to, as a child, the child wants to do what? Walk, talk, jump, wants to drink the bottle, wants to pick up the cup, it wants to run, it wants to do all the things that we're doing because it wants to experience itself outside of itself. There comes a point in time where you're going to want to interact with life on your own what? Will. Now we're going to reverse and we're going to go back to what is the mind then. So I opened this up just to create a production of what the mind is, and now we're going to just tap in slightly on the mind and what does the mind look like? What does it mean? Now, we went into the process of life, gathering information on purpose because we want to what? Live. We want to experience life because we want to take it on. Why would somebody want to take on life?
Create.
You're smiling. What picture do you have? There you go. Because it's grand. It's beautiful. It's great. We're here. We're alive. My God, all the things that we could do. All the things that we could do. Now let's go back to this thing that's thinking and the mind. Majority of you know this. Some of you looking online. We're going to go into the mind and what does the mind mean? What does it look like? Well, you want to grab the census? They're right here. If you want to know that or you want to write it out. Now, when we're talking about the mind, we really don't have a picture of the mind. So Dr. Thurman Fleet created this picture that brought order. This brought order with all the research that I was doing on purpose to figure out what the mind was. What is with a soul? Why was my soul here? That was my question over and over and over and over again. Why would I wonder why my soul is here? Any thoughts? Has anybody here thought why my soul is here? Why would you think that?
I think innately we want to live with purpose.
Very good.
And so knowing why you're here, I believe, is step one to knowing your purpose.
I'm going to tell you something right now you may not know. But that's odd. How many people have really thought about themselves to themselves of why they're here?
Very few.
For some reason, you internalize yourself. Not everybody internalizes themselves. How many people just go around the beat of what's going on and never question anything? Why did you do that? Intuition. What is intuition?
Higher power, higher faculties.
One of the higher faculties. Wow. Not everybody's directly hooked up right there. Now, there's 6 higher faculties. Imagination. Does anybody know who they are? What else? Good. Perception.
Memory.
Good.
Inspiration.
Inspired is a inward movement. I'm going to go with,
Memory, reason, will.
let's go with the way I'm going to adapt this. Let's go with the reason. Next, because I'm going to put these in an order here in a minute. Reason, will, memory, then okay. Now we're going to go back to the mind. What is the mind? The mind is a movement. The mind is a movement. The mind is a perpetual transmutation. Perpetual transmutation. I'm going to write in your nose here. Perpetual transmutation of thought energy. Thought energy. Now, the mind is perpetual transmutation of thought energy. People are always trying to put their finger on this for so many years, and they say where this person is thinking, but we can't really put our finger where this mind is. They see the energy. Scientists can measure the energy. They know where the energy's gone. The minute the body flatlines or the brain is not receiving and transmitting information, body shuts down, and it's off to another place. Why? Well, something happened to the brain, something happened to one of the organs that shut it off. But if the brain cannot connect to the mind, it can no longer transmute energy, and it can no longer vivify the body. So when we talk about this mind, it's a movement, but it's unseen. So Dr. Thurman Fleet gave us this figure called the stick person. The stick person here, we're going to talk about two areas: conscious mind, subconscious mind. Okay? Now, and then we have the body. The body is the instrument. Instrument. Can you grab that? The body is the instrument of the mind. Okay? So, do you have our cabinet? Down here in the subconscious mind, we have a cabinet. This cabinet has files and files and files of, it's a mass of, I never want you to see this again, this word, in formation. Because it's in the subconscious mind, it's already informed. As we think, we're thinking from this flow, and automatically, in the center of our being is, they call the raison d'etre, the perpetual transmutation of that energy. This thing is always humming, always vibrating. It is always perpetually transmuting energy. What is energy? A movement of ideas. Automatic, perpetual transmutation of thought energy. And as this thing is thinking, it's always normally plucking ideas from here, moving them up here, and then seeing them here. How many of y'all are thinking all day long? Does it stop? When you go to bed, does it turn off? It's always on. Now, consciousness is always. The divine spark from within is always consolidating into a higher consciousness. I don't know why you question yourself. It's always consolidating into a higher consciousness, or it's fragmenting into the created results. Now, when I say that, the mind, it's either consolidating into a higher consciousness. We've got a lower consciousness, which the lower consciousness comes from the average individual cannot see what's going up here and above. Emily, what's above that? Do you have your mic on? See? Now you're on. Okay, so this is what? 4D up, 3D down. So we live in the three-dimensional world. So we live down here. We experience everything down here, but we don't see what's going on up here. It's unseen. Thoughts? What are thoughts? Can you see them?
Well, the mind then has pictures and ideas and images, but as we
But you only see them.
not really even thinking. So I mean, define which thinking we're thinking from.
Well, we're fixing to get there. But thoughts you do not see. The average individual doesn't see thoughts. We walk around, look at everybody, and we look at their face, and then we look at their mouth move. Then we hear what they're thinking. But we don't see what's going on majority of the time. Rare somebody is. There's people that are clairvoyant, clairaudient, but that's rare. We normally see the results with our effects, right? Mm-hmm. So this mind, again, is a movement. We don't see the movement until they express it in behavior. A man is what he expresses. A woman is what they express. And the direction they're going is telling you what's going on where? In the unseen part of their nature. And then they go and act it out. By the time they act it out, the acting out is already a result. If this person is always setting up a chain of events, and they're vibrating, and the chain of events are coming. We don't get results on accident, we get them on purpose. Now, here goes back to purpose. I said I was looking for my purpose in life, and then I received images that took me on my purpose. Now, when we're not consciously looking on purpose, or thinking on purpose, who do you think is creating our results? Subconscious?
Yeah, same thing. Our past, our program.
We do the only thing that we can do. Let's go back to the kid, the child. He does the only thing he can do. He learns to walk like them. He learns to talk like them. Why? Because the walking and talking came from what? Thinking. So he's developing the thought process of his system, therefore he walks and talks like them. Now, as he's going through that 0 to 5, it's not just them, it's the whole environment is them. Again, let's go 100 years ago. Wherever you would have landed, whatever you would have done, you would have had to have adapted to what? To take on life. And life is what? It's beautiful. You want to go into it. You want to go out there and experience life. You want to take it on. But you do the only thing that you can do for the time and the period, and you do what? Gather their information. Right? Now we're talking about the sixth sense. Why did you say that you thought about a higher consciousness? What made you think of why I'm here?
I believe some of it did come from the way I was raised. I was raised in a house that talked about faith, that talked about belief in
what?
Well, in a God, in heaven, in things beyond the physical.
Beyond the physical, a higher power. Right. Beyond where we live. Mm-hmm. Something beyond where we live. Now, the average individual is living from, what are these, Emma?
Those are your senses, or the antennas.
Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes. So, I don't have that one printed, but
I got it. What do you need?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so the antennas. Sorry. Okay. So basically, these antennas are used through your senses. So if you think about it like a radio, and if you dial in, you're going to receive information. So there's all of this, and this is what's up here in the 4D. So we use our senses, see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, to pick up information on the physical side so that we can bring it into our conscious mind.
And think.
And think from it, yeah.
We hear, we see, taste, touch, smell. That connects us to the what? The physical world. We use the senses to connect to the physical world. The physical world is telling us what? A story. Of the what? What does it tell us? What does the physical world tell us? What story is it telling us?
Well, a lot of beliefs.
Beliefs in other people's minds. Right? Think about that. Everything around you today tells you a story from the past. Does it not? Look at the hardware in here. Look at the hardware in here. Look around. Look at all the hardware. This happened in the past. So everything you see is a production of other people's minds using their creative imagination and just moving things into form. Were they doing it on purpose? Were they doing it to definite ends? Or were they just doing things? So when you look at your results, look at your home. Do you think you have a home by accident? You wanted to live. I want a home. I want a house. I want a car. I want electricity. I want gas. I want food in that refrigerator. Why? Because you wanted to take on life. So then you use what? This thing that you don't see, this creative imagination, you begin to think, and you set up a chain of events, and then you act them out in life. Now, what are we understanding? That life really begins where? In the mind.
In the imagination.
And then in form. My God, we're getting the secret to life. We're really beginning to understand that all creation first starts from above, then below. Then from inside and out. Upside down. You understanding? Upside down. Upside down. He who controls the higher states controls the lower states. Now, we're talking about this mind and a movement. If and when we choose to go somewhere, we can set up a chain of events, can't we? If. But you have to have courage. Not only courage doesn't do it. You have to have a what? Can you grab the mic? What do you have to create something from nothing into something? How do we do that?
Desire and will.
Yep. But in order for you to have desire, means you have to have what? Imagination.
Idea.
Yep. You cannot have desire until you first see something. Or intuition was guiding you. Think about this. Let's go back to the very first man. And let's say he was sitting on the ground. And he's sitting on the ground, he's getting rained on, or he's getting snowed on, or where in the hell did he get the idea if he didn't see it to start off with? What made him spontaneously get an image of a shoe, clothes, shelter? Where did that come from? He had no recollection. There had to have been a first man that had no think Now we talk about men today in society, and we move off of all these things that we see and desires. Why? Because it's what we see. But what about the first man that had nothing to start with? Where'd that come from? Interesting, isn't it? There's a connecting link to all things. What's this month?
Sense.
I said there was one thing that connects everything. I said there's one thing that connects from one thing from all other things. And this one thing is energy. And it's spiritual. And everything around you is spiritual. And the home and the desk and the car and everything that was here was made of spiritual creation. Everything around here. If you take it all back to the very beginning, it goes back to one mind. If you take it before that mind, it had to go back upstairs where it came from. Spiritual substance. We go back to one thing. We go back to what? Pure substance. Reverse engineer everything this man made. What do we have? Reverse everything this man made. What do we have? Lower consciousness, the senses, animal. Something took us out of the animalistic state. And again, we're talking about this mind that's unseen. We're talking about this adaptation. We're talking about something that's tapping into the consciousness of man to help him go from where? What does lower consciousness do? Lower consciousness, at its lowest vibratory rate, is going to do what? Eat, sleep, procreate, and do it all over again the next day.